The main difference about this game compared to other games, other Street Fighter games, is just the parry. Whatever. So this is the main difference with this game. And the fact that you can parry anything, whether it be with a down parry or a toward parry, well, almost anything, means you have to treat the game very, very differently. It means that things that in other games would be guaranteed are not guaranteed in this game. You can, in fact, build safe jump setups in this game, because there are moves that, you know, come out slowly enough that if you were to do something like this, you know, a knockdown, say you do this, and like that, you know, like you would see in Street Fighter IV, that actually could work. The problem is that all you have to do to beat that is a parry, and so there's no sense in building any setup like that. There are no guaranteed situations like that. You might be very accustomed to seeing in Street Fighter IV and similar games that once you get a knockdown, you pretty much can start your offense, and in this game, it's really not like that. When you're playing your offense, say I knock down Q, and I'm going to go up here and try to play some games on him, I'm taking a risk, and there's no way to get away from that. Everything that you do in this game, whether it be a jump or, you know, a mix-up, up close, those are all risks, not just for the person attacking, or not just for the defender, but also for the person attacking. And that means you have to treat the game pretty differently. Another thing to know about this game is that hit confirms are extremely important. That means that footsies are super important. Not necessarily for a character like Q, because he doesn't have any hit confirms from footsie range, other than just dash punch. But for somebody like Chun-Li, walking around with her crouching medium kick or her back fierce, that kind of thing, it's super, super important. And that means, because you can cancel into super and take off a ton of life, that means that the footsie range is really, really important. But combined with the fact that you have a parry, let's do this. Distance games are not really the same thing as in other kinds of games, because like you can see, I can just parry that fireball. And while that does freeze me for a little bit and allows the opponent to kind of set up some situations for himself, distance games are not really the same as in other ones. So this game tends to be fought at about footsie range for the most part. There are some characters who are different than that, but for the most part, you want to be at about the range where you feel that your character's footsies are stronger than the other ones. You know, this, if I'm Q, this, depending on the matchup, not against Chun-Li. Well, certainly not that one either. You know, there are buttons that every character wants to be using, and that's about the range that you want to sit because of both the parry and the strength of the hit confirm. This is a very footsie and mix-up heavy game. Like I said, it's basically fought here or within that range. Most of the action that you're going to see is there. So it's kind of different in that respect, because there's not really a Dhalsim-like character. There is a character, Necro, who has these very far-range normals. But because of the parry and because of, well, the fact that some of them are pretty unsafe in some matchups, you don't really see that all that often. Instead, he's more of an up-close character because that's how the game engine kind of makes him play. You also have to really know what's safe and unsafe in this game. In this game, you need to know what is safe and unsafe because it's a super important mechanic. There are very fast startup supers. So this move from Q, the slaps, that's normally safe, but against a character like Chun-Li with a very, very fast super, it's not. And you need to know that, because that factors in a lot of different ways. Q, with his own super, needs to know that, for example, he can punish a Shoto sweep, or that he can punish, I don't know, lots of other things in the game. There's too many to mention. And Chun-Li needs to know that she can punish other stuff, because that's the strength of supers in this game, and of other things, like Dragon Punches are just a short, or a 2-frame crouching jab if you have that, if you're Chun-Li. You have to know that really factors in. And so all of these differences that are in this game and not so much in other games, certainly the parry is its own thing, the fact that hit confirms are so important is sort of its own thing, and then, you know, knowing what is safe and unsafe. This was really the first time in Street Fighter 3, in the Street Fighter 3 series, that this became an important mechanic for Street Fighter. It had been there to some extent before, but in this game, there are enough things that are unsafe or safe, depending on whether you have super or not, or that it's kind of its own thing as well. So all of those things really add up to being quite a different game. It adds up to a game that has a lot of freedom. If you like to know, if you like blowing up your opponent because you know what your opponent is going to do, then this game is for you. Because if you know what your opponent is going to do, then you have the tools to defeat it. You have parries, and you have strong hit confirms into pretty damaging supers. And that means that any mistake in this game, whether it be a whiff in footsies, or whether it be just a wrong guess, are punished very, very severely. Not just with the fact that you take damage, but the fact that now your opponent is going to be in your face, or gets to set up basically whatever situation he or she wants. That's very, very dangerous situation. The sense of freedom that you get from the game, and the importance of the footsie game. Footsie's obviously very important in Street Fighter 4, but in a lot of matchups they're kind of a little simpler. Adon presses stand roundhouse, for example. You can see even Chun-Li with the best footsies in the game needs to be pressing at least 3 buttons just to make it work against almost everybody. And I really enjoy those 2 things. It's a game where if you are terrible and you play somebody good, you get blown up like crazy. It is a destruction, and it can be really hard to get past the fact that you get eaten up alive like in no other game. It certainly has been annoying to me as I've been trying to get a little bit better at the game again, that I just get blown up, and I noticed that I have habits from other games that don't work in this game, like mashing. It's not a masher game, but it's really fun getting back into it, and I'm really glad for the excuse to do so. So yeah, pretty cool stuff.